Did you know you could use a pendulum and dowsing to help answer questions and make decisions? This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is energy worker Raymon Grace. It all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast on KCAA Radio in Southern California, and we're on UK Health Radio all weekend long. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio, I've got a very special return guest to the show. His name is Raymon Grace. I want to tell you a little bit about him. He's president and founder of the Raymon Grace Foundation. It's a charitable organization, and it focuses on cleaning water. His foundation has done energy work and dowsing, which is using a pendulum, basically. Let me hold it up for those who are on our YouTube and Rumble who can see this. This is my pendulum that I actually picked up after my first conversation with Raymon. And it's used to, he uses it to purify water all around the world. And also, I think he's cleaned up some highways and some other stuff, but other project focuses are always on the betterment of the environment and humanity. Raymon is a world-known dowser, speaker and author of 3 books. The Future is Yours, Do Something About It, Techniques That Work for Me. They're always sold out on Amazon, by the way, and on his website. Seasons of April. And his books have been translated into Italian, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. He began his energy training in 1973 and has since elaborated energy work and dowsing and shared his knowledge with thousands of people worldwide. He's been traveling the US and Canada since 1990. He's really a unique individual, a real guy's guy, and he's here to help us and help humanity. So I welcome Raymon Grace back to Guys Radio. Nice to see you, Raymon. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir, and I appreciate the invitation to come back and talk with you.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. For some of the folks who are watching and listening, they're familiar with you, and others are not familiar with you. For those who aren't familiar with you, how would you define your work? Are you an energy healer? What exactly is it that you do?
Well, my work is based on 3 simple principles. Number 1, all things are composed of energy, and the intelligent human mind can direct energy. Number 2, energy is impressed upon matter. Your thoughts and actions are energy. Your physical body is matter. So we can literally change things in our bodies. And number 3, energy follows thought. So actually, the last one I got from, actually the last 2 is a quote from Einstein. And I just took that, and at the time didn't realize Einstein had said it, but I took that and kind of capitalized on it. But that is a very brief description of what we do. We use our mind, which is a form of energy, to improve things on the planet. Whether it is cleaning up schools to make them safer, or whether it's to energize water, giving people decent water to drink. I've done this in 6 continents so far, not all over the continent, of course, but at least it's spread out that far. The only one we missed was Antarctica. So I have spent the last 50 years learning what can be done with the human mind if it is properly focused. That's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Now you are, as I am, a graduate of the Jose Silva life courses, and you are also a shaman. I am not a shaman, but how did you get inspired to get involved with the Jose Silva teachings, and what made you, and how did you study shamanism?
Okay. I used to be a construction foreman. That's what I did for 35 years. And I was down in Georgia, and on a construction job that evening, I saw an advertisement, an interview with one of Jose Silva's lectures. I had never heard of him before. I knew absolutely nothing about it, but I was impressed with what the man had to say. So I went to the lecture, signed up for the class. In all honesty, I didn't get all of it, but I got enough to at least start with something. And I started out with helping people take away pain on construction jobs, because construction jobs are always a bit hazardous, and people are mashing their fingers or toes or getting cut or whatever. So I started out working on construction workers. And then over the years, I just started to expand. Then I became a lecturer for Jose Silva, which I did that for about 5 years. And then I got involved in dowsing and shamanism. And what I did, each philosophy had something beneficial but I didn't feel that it had everything. So I took the work of Jose Silva, the work of the dowsing societies, and capitalized on that, expanded it, and a bit of shamanism. Not a lot of shamanism, but a bit. So I don't claim to be a shaman. Matter of fact, I don't claim any kind of titles whatsoever. Yes, I've studied it. Yes, I practiced it, but I kind of cautious about claiming titles or being an expert on anything. All I do is the best I know how to do, which works most of the time.
How would you, for those who are not familiar, Raymond, how would you describe the Jose Silva life method and the teachings of Jose Silva?
Basically, as I understood it, what he taught, and I did lecture for him for about 5 years. He taught that we could use our mind, basically the lower brain frequencies, predominantly the alpha brain frequency, and literally change things energetically. That is the shortest definition I know of it, and that is what I've used. The first thing I do in class is teach people how to lower the brain frequency, because that adds more power to our thoughts. And if we have enough power to our thoughts, we can literally change things in the physical world.
What was the first thing when you started to practice, Raymond? What was the first thing you did to kind of demonstrate and convince yourself that you could actually change things through lowering your brain frequency and focusing your intention on making a change?
Well, I remember, as I said, I was on a construction job at the time, and I went into work the next day kind of looking for a victim to practice on. Well, the superintendent came up to me and said, "Do you have anything for a headache?" And I think, oh boy, I got some practice here. So I simply reached out my hand about like this, put my hand to his forehead, and all at once he looked real shocked. He said, "The pain is gone." Well, he didn't know it, but it scared me more than it did him. And I think this stuff works. So after that, anytime the word spread, and anytime people would get hurt on a construction job, they would come to me. And most of the time, I could help them. And then we have expanded this to being able to change things. Well, I'd set a goal to clean up the water in the world. That was some years after that. That was about 35 years ago. And didn't know how to do it, but I thought, well, I will learn. So then I focused on cleaning up water, cleaning up schools, cleaning people's houses. Now, when I use the phrase cleaning up, we get into something that might be a little scary for some people, and that is entities. You might call them ghosts, spooks, whatever. But I find that these negative entities are in a lot of places. And I found that we had the ability to remove them. Do I think it works? No, I know it works. Whenever you have someone that's had all kind of problems in their house, and you find about 25 really bad spooks in there, and I've got a scale on which to measure them, you get rid of them, and then the folks write you back thanking you, "Oh, it feels so peaceful now." After you get a few hundred testimonials like this, you start to believe it.
And what is it that you do you do this remotely, or does it have to be in the same place?
Oh, I do it remote. As a matter of fact, whenever I was learning about dowsing, and I started that back in '93, I was taught that you had to do everything physically. You had to actually be there physically to do anything. And I learned very quickly that wasn't possible. Not possible, it wasn't necessary. It was possible, but not necessary. And I found that we could do this anywhere on planet Earth. You see, distance is not a factor whenever you're working with the power of the mind.
Mhm. Let's talk about dowsing a little bit, Raymond. And my special guest on Guys Radio is the amazing Raymond Grace. And we're going to talk about his energy work and how he's helping the planet by cleaning up a lot of entities, a lot of spaces, and a lot of the water on the planet. So you inspired me to start dowsing myself. So this is for those who can see on the video. I have a pendulum that I use, and I practice with it initially. What I did, and maybe you could help elaborate on this. I asked it, give me a positive, a yes, and then I said, I stop it. I said, let me have a no, and it goes side by side, sideways. And then I stop it again. I said, give me affirmation, and it'll come clockwise. And if I say, when it's not a good idea, go the opposite way, and it does that. Now, the way I use it, Raymond, and I say this because maybe it'll help people out there. The first time I tried to train, if you will, or connect with my pendulum, I didn't trust it. So I put it away and I took it out the next day and I redid the process, and it actually gave me different answers, and we connected, and it's been consistent ever since. Does that often happen?
Yes. The biggest problem is people do not have confidence in themselves or confidence in their dowsing ability. As a result of not having confidence, sometimes they might get the wrong answer. I tell people, the more you practice, the better you get. Now, if it helps anybody, it took me 3 years to get a pendulum to move. I want to give you a little demonstration right here.
Okay.
This is a 45 bullet on a chain, and within for the first 3 years, it moved about like this, barely moving. Now, when I asked, it moved more like this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I want to say this: don't put the power in the pendulum. The power is within the human mind. All this is a bullet on a chain. It has no intelligence. It has no power. What it is a tool to give you the answers that you're asking. That's all it is.
So it helps you get in touch with your subconscious, is that it? To get the answers
It
that are
literally
there?
it tells you what you already know, but you
Right.
didn't really believe you.
Okay. The way I've been practicing, and I bring this up because maybe it'll help folks out there. So I do it every day, and one day I switch every other day. So the first day I'll say I'll say spirit and my higher self, I want to clear out. So I clear out any negative thinking, releasing old dying cells in my body to replace by divine infant cells. And as you can see, for those folks who can or are watching, my pendulum automatically started going in a counterclockwise direction. And I release disease, viruses, all kinds of stuff. And I do that for a bit, and then I stop it. And then I go the other way and bring in divine God's white light of healing. I bring in prosperity, I bring in good health, etc. So every other day I do that for the whole process is about 10 minutes it takes. That's all. The other days, what I've been doing, Raymond, is training myself I'll go through first I go vertical, and then I go horizontal, and then I go clockwise and counterclockwise, and then I count to like 25. I follow, I just hold the pendulum over my hand and trace my thumb for count of 25. Then I trace my index finger, and so on, go all the way to the 5 fingers. I stop, and I go back again. I stop after each one 20 or 25 times. And what that's done for me is kind of helped me with my connection with my pendulum. Does any of this make sense?
Well, you've made it a lot more complicated than I have. I simply pick up a pendulum and say, I want to get this answer.
Okay.
That's it. No, I don't do I don't do anything elaborately. I don't say any kind of prayers. I just pick up a pendulum and go to work. And I do, it's a little complicated, so I won't get into it deeply, but I use a chart on a scale of 0 to 100%. And I ask for a question like, okay, what's the example? What's the result of is usually the question I ask. And people say, what's the result of what? Well, it depends on whatever you want. Let's say you need to go out to town to do business today. What's the result of going before lunch? What's the result of going after lunch? I check out routes for people's travel. What is the result of taking one particular route as opposed to taking another? I'll give you an example. There's a fellow down in Texas one time that was heading out to Boulder, Colorado, and he called me, told me which way he was going, up I-35 to hit I-70 west. And I said, don't do that. Why? Because I asked, what is the result of him taking that route? I got a serious negative. I said, don't go that way at all. Find you another road. Whenever he got to Boulder, he called me back or wrote me, and he said, I-35 was flooded. I didn't logically know that. I just got the information that wasn't a good road to take. So I'll tell people, always check your travel routes And the way you ask is, what's the result of taking whichever route you have planned? I also get a lot of requests to clear airports and airplane flights. I work with people over a large segment of the world, really. So anyone that has something important to do, an important trip or whatever, I check it out for them. Now, I'm not going to tell you I'm perfect because I'm not, but I'm right a whole lot more times than wrong. And that's the best way I know to do it. But I don't know of anything that you cannot use dowsing for. I use it in class to help people get over food allergies. I'll say, how many people in here have food allergies? Well, the hands go up. Okay, what are you allergic to? Asparagus, what are you allergic to? Seafood, what are you allergic to? Gluten. And I go through the class like that. I do a clearing. I say, okay, you go out tonight and to a restaurant and you order whatever you are allergic to. If you survive, you get to come back tomorrow. We haven't lost anybody yet.
Okay, let me ask you this. If I ask you a question, can you give me an answer in that same vein? Like, because I use it also, like, what would be the result of my moving to Idaho? What would be the result of my doing something? Can I ask you a question and we'll test it right here?
Only answer I can give you on this is maybe. I usually don't do this, but I will. About the only time I will do this is if the other person and I both know I have a strong opinion on something, because our opinions will affect our doubting.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't know what the question is, then I don't have an opinion. So we can give it a try if you want to. I don't know what's going to happen, but we can try.
Okay. I am working on a project, and my question is this: what would be the result of my writing a new book?
Does my dowsing system understand the question? Yes. What's the result of you writing a new book? I don't get 100%. I get 200%.
That's good. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
That was a very logical question to ask.
Okay. And
now, if you want to further it on your own sometime, a book on what subject? Is it on fly fishing or
it's on
tracking bears?
It's on aging.
Aging. I still get another 200%.
Yep. Okay. Good. Excellent. Okay. As part of also, and demonstrating your skill set. Last time we spoke, you helped me with the water in my home. You mentioned, I watched some interviews with you about being able to identify if people have any demons or problems or this or that. I feel pretty good about things, but I put the question to you. Can you pick up anything in me or my environment that I need to be aware of?
Well, you're fine because I checked your energy level and it is, I won't get into the numbers on here because they're so high, they're not believable. But no, you don't have anything that needs fixing. Not that I can tell. Your overall health condition, I'm getting 100%. Your overall mental stability is 100%. And your energy level is excessively high. So there might be something somewhere. I mean, maybe you've got a sore toe or something, but it won't really
I actually do. I actually do. I actually
have a sore toe?
do.
No kid. Okay. Did I know that? No, of course not. That's what came to me. This is how this stuff works.
It's amazing.
I guess we call it intuition.
That is amazing. Now, do you do this work on yourself, Raymond?
No, not really. Because let me try to explain something. There's 3 epidemics affecting the human race right now. Number 1 is a fragmented soul. I'm not going to go into the details on it. I'm just going to kind of explain things. The next is the brains are spinning backwards. I did a little survey one day. I went around to various stores in the country here and asked questions. Have you noticed people are going crazy now? And in every case, I got a yes. I went to the bank, I went to the post office, various shops, stores. Yeah, they're all going nuts, or most of them. Okay, there's a reason for that. It's because the brain is not spinning correctly. I do not know what caused it. I am able to correct it, but there may be a time limit on it. I haven't been able to do this indefinitely. I don't know that I have. Maybe I have, but if nobody comes back for help again, well, you assume they're still okay. But here's another big one, a real big one. The spirit of love is leaving human bodies. So if you folks out there got to have an ache of pain or something, the best thing you can do is thank your body. It is amazing how well it works because every cell of a human body has intelligence. And cells make tissues make organs, and organs have feelings and intelligence. Like the heart knows how to pump blood. The ears don't know how to do that. Stomach knows how to digest food. Your nose doesn't know how to do that. So I can check out the bodies of people to find out what they believe. Now, this can kind of get complicated, and I'm not going to say I'm an expert on it, but overall, we can pick up stuff pretty good on it. So the best thing I can tell people to take care of yourself is real simple. Don't ever ask for anything. Give thanks for everything. Every day, give thanks for good health, friends, family. I even give thanks for the water in the spring. I live very remotely. I live like a hermit, like here in the Appalachian Mountains. I give thanks for the crops in the garden. I live what I would call a life of giving thanks every day, and I never ask for anything.
Now,
It's worked quite well.
when you were growing up, because you have a very giving and appreciative sense about you, were you always this way when you were a kid with your family, or is this something that came to you once you started practicing the work you're doing now?
No, I've always been that way. I got a little smarter as I got older, but I've always been that way. When I was a kid, I had the belief system, and it took me years to get over this because I was spending all my time doing things for other people, never doing anything around home, letting the grass grow up and the trees and brush take over because I was going places to help somebody else. And one day I just come to the realization I kind of got to take care of myself. But I would, as a kid, if I was around anywhere that there was work being done, I felt an overwhelming obligation to get in and help. It didn't matter what the work was. I've just been that way all my life, and I finally got a little bit smarter to where I don't get involved unless I'm asked.
Now, you pick up on so much in your work, Raymond, including some of the bad stuff that's out there. Do you do any practices to protect yourself, and can you recommend that? And if so, which practices you would do to protect yourself, or when people are opening themselves up to do energetic work?
I'll be glad to do that. Number one, whenever you travel, give thanks for being at the right place at the right time. I've traveled 1,500 miles and got there 15 minutes early. I have gone other places a few hours, like 5 hours, and got there right on the exact minute that I intended to. So timing is everything. Every wreck you've ever seen on the highway would not have happened if one driver had been 2 seconds faster or slower. So program yourself to be at the right place at the right time.
How do you do that? How do you do that if you're going on a trip? What do you do?
I just give thanks for being at the right place at the right time.
Okay.
That's simple.
So you don't specifically say, I need to be there at 1:17 p.m. You'll say, just get me there at the right time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done that, and it works.
Okay.
Yeah, sure does. Now, let me give you an idea of how it works. I have a very good friend of mine who travels a lot, and I woke up one morning. I'm keeping this real short. Woke up one morning, something says, you better call him right quick. I called and I said, where are you? He says, I'm on Interstate 77 going into West Virginia. I said, get off the road right now. He said, well, here's an exit. I said, take it. He called me back that afternoon. Right in front of him, the side of the mountain slid off and blocked the road.
Yikes.
Did I know that? No. I had programmed myself to be aware of any danger to myself, my family, or my friends. That's a ability that the mind has, to be aware of danger and avoid the danger, be at the right place at the right time. And also, I repel all people and energies that are harmful to me.
How do you do that?
That is one of the best things. It's all done with intent. Whether I'm cleaning up water in Australia, or chasing ghosts out of a house in Canada, or working on a sick kid in Texas. People say, how do you do this? And I can answer with one word: intent.
Have you ever surprised yourself in your abilities to do some of these things, particularly with cleaning water? That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll be glad to tell the story. Matter of fact, this is on a video out there somewhere. It's filmed with a fellow in Australia, and the city of Perth, which has 2 million people, and this man and several of the listeners were from the city there. And I didn't have many people on the show. I think it was maybe 65 or something. And they were scattered from other parts of the world. Some in, well, I won't get into the parts, but they were scattered. They all weren't from Perth. I think only about 40 people were. And he was asking if I could clean up the water, and I checked it, and I said, this water's terrible. And I couldn't figure out why. And he told me which lake it came from. And the lake was literally possessed. It was the worst body of water I have ever found in my life. And it was due to, we found out during the conversation, a lot of demonic worship and pedophilia in that area. See, energy is impressed upon matter. Thoughts and actions are energy. That lake was matter. So your body is matter. That's why I tell people, learn to douse and don't go into low energy places, because you will be affected by the energy there. So I practice this. That's why I'm a hermit. The most people I'm ever around are the people that come to my class, which might be 40 people, something like that. I just don't go into crowds. It's just because I just don't particularly want to be in their energy. I'm out here in the mountains with plenty of trees, and it's good energy here. Okay, but back to Perth, Australia. Out of 40 people listening, I got 27 thank you emails for giving them good water. And they went, how did you do this? I mean, from where I live in the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia, Perth, Australia is on the opposite side of the world. You can't get much further away than that. It's on the bottom half and the other side of the world. So what does that tell me? That tells me that distance is not a factor whenever you're using your mind.
Okay.
So was I a bit surprised? Yes, because that was the worst water I had ever found. And 27 people write and thank me for giving it because the water tastes better. That's pretty darn good evidence.
Amazing. So when you're cleaning up people's drinking water that comes out of the faucet, how do you, well, using your intention, how do you make sure this is going on an ongoing basis? For instance, I'm in Southern California. I use a pure water purification system. I would never drink the water that comes out of the tap. If you did your process and we cleaned up that water, how long does that clean water last for coming out of my tap?
That is a question I cannot answer. I have done that for a lot of people, but never asked me to do it again. I have had a few problems when we had to redo the situation, but I can't tell you why. I just don't know. But overall, it seems to have been fairly permanent. And I've done this in Europe and Australia and all across America, US and Canada. So I don't know that there's a time limit. I will have to say it hasn't always been perfect, but very few things are.
Okay. My special guest on Guys Radio, the amazing Raymon Grace, and we're talking about his cleaning up water and a lot of other things he does through intention. What are some of the things that our listeners and viewers can do to kind of get started to be able to tap into more of themselves and their cells, their individual cells and their microbes, so they can do this work? Because I don't think a lot of people are aware that, our bodies consist of billions of microbes that are all individual cells. And we're kind of holding them all together, but there's a whole system inside of us that's doing its own thing that we can put to work through intention.
Well, first off, I have made over 80 films. Quite a few of them are on Raymon Grace YouTube channel, and they're free. I have a 2-day, very condensed version. No, let me say it another way. I have a condensed version of my 2-day class available at my website, raymondgrace.us. So if you really want to learn how to do this, it goes from cleaning up water to teaching kids positive thinking to chasing ghosts out of the schools and clean them up so the kids will have a safe place to go to school. We've done all this stuff. We've cleaned up highways to eliminate car wrecks. Just I'll give you an example on this in just a minute, but go to RaymondGrace.us and I've got video labeled on various things. 6 videos, 1 CD. That's the only ones I have for sale. Everything else is free. However, I've got information there that I don't have on the other ones. All the free ones are basically talks I've made at various organizations, such as this right here. I remember one time I was in class and there was a lady raised her hand, said she lived in Washington, D.C., and she lived near an intersection and said there are wrecks there several times a week. And I did a little check and I said, people get killed there, don't they? She said, yes, they do. How do you know? I said, because there's 4 demons there. Now that's unusual. That's not an everyday occurrence at all. Well, this lady was a talk show host. So she had me on a show sometime after that, about a year. She told the audience, there's been 2 fender benders in the last year. There had been being serious wrecks every week because we can clean up highways, and we have done this. And this is something I freely show people how to do, or tell them they can do it. If there's a spot on the road where there's been a lot of wrecks, you can pretty much bet there's some negative entities there. Now, there's not going to be that many demons. That was unusual. It was extremely unusual. But the fact is, I like an unusual case because that allows us to prove what can be done.
How do you, Raymond, when you say negative entities and demons, what exactly, how would you define them? What exactly is it? Just strictly energetic, lower energy? Evil, or what is it?
That's as good a description as what I can give you. I really cannot give you or anybody else a real description of demonic forces. I do know that whenever the things are present, that everything goes wrong. But now, I don't want to scare people out there. Just because you're hearing this information and you have a little bad luck at home doesn't mean you got a demon in it. No, don't run from something that's not chasing you. You find demons in serious psychiatric wards, in maximum security prisons, and in any place where there's been any torture or sacrifices done. That's the place you're going to find that. You find just negative entities. The truth is, I have found probably more in churches than I've ever found in bars. I mean that. I really seriously mean that.
Amazing.
And what do? We clean them out. I mean, we won't get into an exorcism right here, but yeah. And I cleaned up schools. You wouldn't believe the percentage of teachers that are possessed in inner city schools.
Wow. Amazing.
I'm talking about 90% and sometimes 100%. Why does this happen to them more than anybody else? I don't really know, but I just know it does.
Let me go ahead. I wanted to follow up on. Go ahead, Raymond.
I've had so many people ask to clean up their kids' school. That's the only reason I learned this stuff is because people ask for help. Well, go ahead, please.
Now, you bring up a point that we were talking about earlier, and I want to come back to that. So thank you for bringing up this point. And that is, you said that most of the teachers in schools have been affected negatively. And you also mentioned that one of the problems in the world right now is people's kind of brains turning the wrong way, if you will. Do you think that that is something that's created, like some type of psionic attack on people, or this is just something that's naturally occurring with mankind at this time right now?
That is a good question, which I cannot answer. I don't know what it is. It could be a little of both. I really don't know. All I know is this has been occurring in the last, let's say, 7 years or so, somewhere, maybe a little longer than that. At first, I didn't find very much of it. But what I have found, it has increased dramatically in the last 2 years.
With that in mind, Raymond, do you find, and I was going to ask you this anyhow, is what do you feel that's going on our planet right now versus when you first started out, or even 10 years ago? Because it seems like the world is on edge. There's a lot more anxiety. There's a number of reasons. We had the pandemic, and there's war and economic stress on people. But beyond that, there seems to be an overall vibration that's impacting humans in a negative way. It's like too much stress for them. What is your sense of all of that, and what can people do?
Only thing I can say here is I agree with you, but can't give you the reason why. Why are souls getting fragmented now? When that happens, people lose their common sense. They're not bad people. They're just something messes with their thinking. Now, can I correct it? I can probably correct it in 30 seconds, but I can't promise it'll last forever, because it won't. It may last a year, it may last 5 years, or it may last the rest of their life, but you can't predict it, or at least I can't predict it. Why is the spirit of love leaving people's bodies? I do not know. I think that there is a cause. Obviously, if there's a problem, there's a cause, but I cannot pin down the cause. What I can tell people to do is give thanks for the spirit of love in your body every day. That's when people contact me, and that's what I find. All I do is give thanks for the spirit of love to come back in their body. This stuff is really pretty simple. It may be far out for most people, but the truth is it's pretty simple.
Now, that's a very, very spiritual insight, and I would say you're a very spiritual individual. But how do you see yourself? Are you quote unquote spiritual, religious? Do you believe in a higher power? Do you believe in spirit guides, angels, ETs, even, etc.? What are your, if you don't mind my asking, what's your perspective on some of this stuff?
I don't mind you asking. I would not say I was religious. I gave that up. Why? Because it started where it didn't make any sense to me. Do I believe in a higher power? I believe that I believe more in the Native American philosophy of the Great Spirit than I do in any kind of white man's religion. I just don't. Religion to me is a way to control people and get their money. I mean, I'm blunt as can be. I just call a spade a spade. Okay. Now, the Native American people believed in a Great Spirit. I'm more inclined to think they were right. But look, everything has intelligence. The trees know when to bear leaves. A fruit tree, an apple tree knows when to bear fruit. Every plant has intelligence in order to grow and produce. I mean, that's just common sense, just observation. So there has to be, in my opinion, a higher power that causes this. Now, I won't argue with anybody that wants to call it God. That's fine. I don't want to argue with anybody that calls it the Great Spirit. The Indian, one of my friends called it the spirit that moves in all things. Well, to me, that is the definition of God, but that's my opinion. So I don't really like to get into a lot of controversy on this, because people are going to believe what they want to anyway. But that's the way I see things, is that everything has intelligence. However, I think it got thrown off the track somewhere, and that is why we have so much crime. People really, as a whole, are not really kind to one another. Yes, there are kind people in the world, and I have done my best to surround myself with only kind people. There's a lot of people I don't want anything to do with, and I'm just very blunt about it. So I like to surround myself with people I can trust and people that are kind. I try to be kind to people and treat them well. That's just what I like to do. But do I believe that everybody is equal? No. No way. Why? Because I've asked this question in class before. If you folks believe everybody's equal, I have a question. How many kids did you sell into human trafficking this week? And they look at me shocked. Oh, you didn't do that? Well, then what makes you think you're equal with the people that did? How many cars did you steal this week? Oh, you didn't steal any cars either? Well, why do you think you're equal to a car thief?
So we're equal. So we're equal, as we're all human, but then our actions determine kind of, how some people are different than other people in terms of the choices they make. That's kind of what you're saying, right? Well, that humans begin it.
I guess it's always because of the choices they make. Because if you're going to steal a car, you make a choice to steal it.
Right.
You're gonna rob a house, you make a choice to do that. So I'd say, yeah, you're right. Everything is a matter of choices. Some people just make better choices than others.
You mentioned in another interview I was watching about soul contracts. What is your perspective on that? Does that impact? What are they, and how does that impact somebody's current life?
I don't know if it's your memory or mine, but I don't ever remember talking about soul contracts because, quite frankly, I neither believe nor disbelieve in them. But it may be true. I don't know.
It might have been
But
the individual who was interviewing you might have thrown that out. So I just want to pick up on that. But
I
we can.
have,
Oh,
yeah, that's not a subject that I get
okay.
into because I really have an opinion one way or the other.
Okay. We're running short on time, Raymond. Fantastic discussion. Two things. One, could you just give your best piece of advice to our viewers and listeners out there as to how to live their best life? I know you mentioned gratitude, and I do my best when I wake up to say thank you. And before I go to sleep, I say thank you, because you know what? Regardless of what's going on, there's always some things to be thankful for. Just the fact that we're here. And the other thing would be how people can learn and find out more about you. I know you mentioned your website, but feel free to mention it again and some of the things that you have to offer for everybody out there.
Well, let me mention the website here first. It's RaymondGrace.us, and I have a foundation called RaymondGraceFoundation.org, and we've got some projects. We had a water cleanup project with that. Our whole purpose is to improve the earth, and we spent a fair amount of money on cleaning up water. And then I like to empower people. And the best way you can empower people is giving them tools to empower themselves. Do not want to be a leader of any kind of a cult organization or whatever like that. I'm not in that business. I'm a hermit. I have no desire to go all over the country and talk to large crowds, make speeches. I like to do what we're doing right here. I really appreciate this opportunity today. And that is, you and I can sit here and talk. I don't have to leave the house.
Fantastic.
And people around the world.
Well, thank you, Raymond, for doing what you're doing. I wish that you would be invited to like Japan, where they had the nuclear waste going into the water. I know it's being filtered now, but who knows? And also here, where I am in Southern California, there's a problem with sewage going into the water over the border into Mexico. And for whatever reason, that never seems to get cleaned up. You would think somebody would go down there and build a new plant for them. But it's just a problem. There are big water problems in the world with the plastic in the oceans. And I wish that the governments would employ you to do this work and teach others how to do this work. So keep doing what you're doing. And what?
I don't think that'll ever happen. Because I don't know if I just scare people off or if they're just think I'm crazy or what. I've got people all over the world. They cover me up with emails. I've got over 20,000 right now in one inbox. I've spent all day today up to this point here. I quit answering mail long enough to talk to you. So there's no lack of publicity, but for getting help to major situations, I get ignored. Does it bother me? No, not really.
Well, we've got to get the word, Raymond. We're going to get the word out there more and more about the work you do. I think they should do a documentary film about you. I think you're devoting yourself to mankind. The teachings you have are beyond just, cleaning up water. Not that that's a minor thing, but about how people can live their best lives. So I want to thank you for being back here on Guys Radio. You have some parting words, I know. I see you gesturing to me. So what do you want to say?
Well, you asked the question, how can I advise people to have a better life?
Okay.
Willie Nelson's got a song out like this right now. Energy follows thought. Listen to it. You can get it on YouTube, or you can buy his album. But it's a very good thing. Energy follows thought. And also treat people the way you would want to be treated. That's basically what I do.
Fantastic.
It's simple. It doesn't take a PhD to figure that one out. So I just give thanks I give thanks every day to be in the right place at the right time and doing what needs to be done.
Well, thank you.
Start thinking in a positive manner.
Well, thank you so much, Raymond, for coming back on Guys Radio. Hopefully we helped a lot of people and introduced some of your thinking and your practices to everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again and keep doing the work you're doing, because you're doing a service to mankind. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and you have a good day.
Okay. If you enjoy the guests and content I bring you each and every week to Guys Radio and Guys TV, please support us by subscribing to our channels. Thank you.